last mugshot?
You look good.
Importantly, I thank you all for coming. I know this was a short notice for some of you, but the things we decide today after we have our speaker, we're going to decide what we do for the future. I'd like to introduce some guests. Steve Michaels from PBA. Raise your hands so we can throw cards in. Thank you. From CSEA, we have quite a good representation. We have Sandy Dorfner, who is president of the Retirees CSEA. Renee Chester, and I apologize if I... Chichester, CSEA. We have Chris Zabuto, president Emeritus. And I'd like to welcome Jim Belcombe. Where are you, sir?
I'm here.
Thank you for coming. He's the new president of CSEA.
No, X. I was before Chris.
Pardon?
I was before Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm retired. We have two Emerituses. Thank you. We need your influence and experience. Greg Shrove, CSEA representative for the command group. And am I rudely forgetting anyone else? It better not be a Boston here. Okay. Yes.
Anybody want to give me money?
I want to introduce the board members because we have opened this session. This situation concerns everybody. Active, retired. I'm hoping we have a captain here from the road. I'm hoping to take this back and get those little darlings kicked in the fanny, get them involved. So we have folks here that are not members of SOAR. If you wish to join, there's some applications at the table. They're floating around. I'd like to introduce Lou Leone, our treasurer, and he's very happy to take your money for 2014. Same gig as before. You get 2 free dinners out of it, and we'll go into that later, but I don't want to hold up our speaker. John Flannery is our secretary. You don't know him. You shouldn't be in the sheriff's department. Don Kiefer is one of our trustees. Howie Merritt is our vice president. Who am I forgetting? Judy Trost is one of our trustees. Don't hesitate. Billy Heinzler is out here as one of our trustees. Flo Trippy from CSEA. Do I have that correct at least?
You got that right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome. I want you to connect up with these people. I don't care about personality conflicts. We got to get over that stuff. We all work for jerks.
Will I be in your way?
Okay? We all
Will I
work
be
for
in
some
your way?
astounding people as well. And a few of my bosses are in here, so I'm not going to embarrass you with the jerks. Anyway, I want to get to the seriousness of getting here. I welcome all of you to this meeting, both active and retired, our guests and you. Each of you who walked in here. And you walked in every day at Monroe County Sheriff's Department facilities. You walked into those facilities every day of your occupation. I don't care if you were the car wash or Skeeter, who I've talked to, he's going to be a member, or one of the sheriffs. You put the gun on your hip, you did the paperwork, I don't care. You are our special guests here today. So I thank you for getting together. We're here to discuss 3 issues, and 3 issues only. The practicality of what's going on today has really hurt a number of us. Things that we didn't count on, things that we didn't build into our retired budget, and that's what I hope to discuss today with our guest. And then after he leaves, we're going to decide what to do next about that. We're going to discuss involuntary changes to retirees' health benefits, the change in the Blue Million coverage, which I have to publicly say, our county executive, Ms. Brooks, did meet with us, several members of the SOAR board, and everything she told us last fall that she was going to do to make sure a good a couple programs came along and covered $2 million, she did. So my thanks to her for that. The Monroe County changing to being self-insured. We're going to talk about that. It's almost 3 years ago when some retired members of the Sheriff's Department were advised that their already contractually agreed upon health benefits were being changed involuntarily. Over the last 40 years of contracts, the bargain was we took work for lower wages, we were going to have some type of comfort in old age when our bodies start to fall apart. That bargain is not being upheld. We are here to discuss what to do about it at this time. Recently, and mentioned in County Executive's recent budget proposal of this week, Monroe County will be announcing that it is going self-insured. What does that mean to us, both active and retired? I don't know. Perhaps if somebody can pose that question to our guest. I remind all of my comrades, my peers, that this is a business meeting. We will show respect. There will be nobody charging the podium. And you stay cool. If you can't, please leave. This is a very emotional subject. It's hit me, but this is business. And I thank very much our guest today, Mr. Brayton Connard, Monroe County Human Resources Director. He's going to speak for a few moments and I believe take questions and answers. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
I'll be back. Thank you.
Can you guys pass those out? Yeah, I brought 50 handouts, which, as it turns out, is not going to be enough. Chief. So share, and then you can obviously feel free to make copies of those afterwards. I received, well, my name is Brayton Connard. I'm the Director of Human Resources for Monroe County. I've been with the county, this is my 23rd year with the county, and my 10th in Human Resources. You know, the county has been my home and where I started my career, and you know, I'm fortunate enough maybe it's where I'll end my career. You know, the county and its performance is very important to me, and I appreciate the service that the retirees have put in, and there's a number of active deputies here, and that performance is appreciated by the community, it's appreciated by those who are at county government now, and it is not taken lightly, the sacrifices you made. I want to thank Ed Ransberger for inviting me to the meeting. He sent me a letter and asked to address two subjects, one of which was health insurance for retirement, and the other was to move to self-funding. And what I said to him is that I'll be happy to come and certainly talk about the move to self-funding, also that if there were questions about individual health plans or use of the health plan, that's probably best handled in another forum, and he said that certainly made sense to him. So if there are folks who have individual coverage questions about themselves, then you should contact me or my staff after the meeting, and you know, we'll handle those you know, on a personal level. So what I am handing out, it talks about self-insurance. So if you saw on the news, the county executive announced in the budget that the county is going to self-insurance for medical insurance. So what does that mean? And you know, managers and employees who have become aware that have asked me the same question, what does it mean? So the handout is meant to address that, and I'll just go through it. So starting January 1 of 2014, Monroe County will be going self-insured, also known as self-funded, for medical benefits, okay? And that'll be the first time the county's done that for medical benefits, but for a long time we've been self-insured for dental and workers' comp. So in that sense, being self-insured, self-funded is not all that revolutionary a concept for the county. So, you know, why are we doing it? What's the impact? One of the reasons we're doing it is, well, I mean, the reason we're doing it is to save money, okay? And so how do we save money? The way you save money by going self-insured is that you're able to avoid administrative overhead for the insurance company. So there's several $1 million worth of expense that the insurance companies charge us, basically to make sure that the claims all get paid, and then if there's a particularly bad claim year, that they have money in reserve, plus they have to basically fund their profit level and as well as their administrative overhead. And by going self-funded, we don't have to fund the insurance company's reserve, and so that saves several $1 million. Our total health insurance spend is about $65 million. 10 years ago, it was about $30 million. So, that's no news to anybody that health insurance is expensive and increasing. I mean, everybody knows that and sees that, whether you're an employee or retiree, whether you're just paying attention to national politics and health insurance. So the other reason that we decided to go self-funded is that there's an additional tax on insurance plans as part of Obamacare. It's called the HIT tax, and it stands for health insurance tax. Interesting acronym. But so this particular tax applies to self-insured plans, or excuse me, fully insured plans. So if we were to remain buying basically insurance from Excelis, who's our carrier, they would charge us an additional $1.5 million to cover the Obamacare tax. If we go self-funded, we avoid that expense. So between the administrative overhead and avoiding the new tax, those were the main reasons for going self-insured. Additional reasons are that going forward, we'll be paying the correct rate and claims for what the medical use is of our employees and retirees. We won't be paying what Excelis thinks that it needs to cover its profit margin. So that should make future rate increases less impactful. For this year, the savings of going self-funded allowed us to keep the health insurance rates flat for the plans. Now, most retirees here, it's free to you. There's zero premium. There are some surviving spouses that pay premium, though. And there are some retirees who pay a portion of their retirement. But for the most part, I would imagine for the people in this room, you're not paying anything for it. So whether it costs the county $1 million more or it's flat, that's not coming out of your pocketbook. But for all the active employees, particularly those who pay a percentage, it's an impact. And so we're happy that we're able to save the money and also avoid the rate increase for 2014. Now, 2015, 16, 17, health insurance goes up because people use it, because as a society, we get older, and there's also better procedures and pharmaceuticals that allow people to live longer, and you get higher expense, and the rates will go up. But it's kind of a 1 year at a time thing. So, which plans are becoming self-insured? Basically, all our medical plans, with the exception of our Medicare Advantage plans, which are our managed care plans for those over 65. So plans those are not going self-insured, because those are plans that we buy from Excelis, where Excelis sets the rate in cooperation with the federal government, and it's all regulated by Medicare. Okay, so those are all Medicare plans. And the plan design is dictated by Medicare, and the rates are dictated by Excelis, and we buy what they've got. So for active employees and retirees under the age of 65, if you're on Blue Point 2 Extended, Select, or Value, that goes self-insured. If you're on Healthy Blue, that goes self-insured. If you're on Classic Blue or Classic Blue Secure, that goes self-insured. So Classic Blue is what, forever we used to call Blue Million. It's actually had probably 5 or 6 names over the years, but most people know it as Blue Million. As you recall, that Excelis ended Blue Million and replaced it with Classic Blue, which is virtually identical. So that becomes self-insured, and so does the over 65 version of that, which is called the Classic Blue Secure. And so that's also self-insured. So for all those plans that went self-insured, what's the impact? The impact is no rate increase. We'll talk about that. There's no change in the plan. All right. So the plan, we're not adding new plans or dropping old plans. The coverage levels remain the same. So whether it covered a doctor's visit or didn't cover a doctor's visit, or covered hearing aids or didn't cover hearing aids, none of that changes because of self-insurance, and the co-pays don't change. So your prescription co-pays, your doctor's visit co-pays, on any of the self-insured plans, they don't change. No change in doctors, no change in hospitals. Excellus continues to be the claims administrator for the plan. So when you go to the doctor's office and they say, what insurance do you have? You tell them the same name that you've always told them. Okay? It's Excellus and whatever plan name you happen to be in. But instead of us buying insurance from Excellus, we're just buying the service of them processing all the claims. And then the county pays the claims. Your policy number will not change. So whatever your 10-digit policy number that's on the card in your wallet right now, that number will not change. So you don't need to go to each of your doctors, pharmacies, whatever services that you're using, and tell them that you have a new plan number. You don't need to do that. What will change is, on the back of that card, there's some language that talks about it being insurance. You'll get a new card with the same plan number. On the back it'll say it's a self-insured plan. And just from a state regulation standpoint, they have to change the card. So you'll get a new card, and you should destroy your old card and use your new card, but it's the same plan number, so you don't need to show the new card to your doctor. I mean, you can if you want, that's fine, but you don't need to. So there won't be any interruption on visits. Also, there won't be, if you have a referral or you've had a prior authorization on a procedure or a drug, something that's gone through that claims process, none of that needs to be redone. None of that changes. And that's because we're still with the same company. We're still with Excellus. It's just the back office funding arrangement has changed. So what does the self-insurance mean for the county? I covered most of this already. We avoid the Obamacare hit tax. We reduce the insurance company overhead. The savings helps balance the county budget. We think that future rate increases will be lower. And then also, if we're able to use wellness initiatives that get people to be healthier and use less insurance, we'll see that benefit in a reduction in how much money we're paying out for insurance, as opposed to paying the same insurance rate and hoping that the insurance company gives us a break the next year. So the news on self-insurance is that it is not a change that will impact retirees. That's the main reason why I accepted Ed Ramsberger's invitation, was that it's a logical question when you read in the paper, the county's going self-insured. What does that mean for me? Does that mean they're going to take away my benefits, change my co-pays, force me to get a new doctor? I guess you don't know me, so you don't know what kind of credibility I have. But I think if I promise you that if you like your plan, you can keep it. I got at least as much credibility as that guy. So, I don't want to oversell myself that I have more credibility, because you don't know. The story on self-insurance is that it's not a detriment to any employee or any retiree, and hopefully it's better for the county in the long run, and the more we can control the growth of health insurance, the less that it causes us to have to squeeze everywhere else. So, I saw a hand up.
I think most of us probably in the room are over 65. In particular, I have Medicare through choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be self-insured, is what I thought you said.
That is correct. Right. So
anyone else is going to be self-insured.
Right. So for those over 65, you're primarily in 3 plans. You might be in Classic Blue Secure, okay, which is an indemnity plan, and is a continuation of Blue Million, essentially, would be the common way to refer to that. That does become self-insured, but again, and you as the user of that plan, invisible to you, and it isn't any worse for you. And it's, if you're not paying any premium, I suppose it's not any better for you either, but it's better for the county overall. The other group of people that are over 65 are going to be in Medicare Advantage plans, and there are 2 Medicare Advantage plans. One is MVP Gold, and the county stopped offering MVP Gold back in 2004, but people who were in it at the time were allowed to continue to be in it. And so they continue to be in it. That's a Medicare Advantage plan. That's where the rates are set by the insurance company. The plan design is set by federal, what's called CMS, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, basically the federal government. And they set the plan design. And then also Medicare Advantage, Medicare Blue Choice, which most people who are on Medicare Advantage are in Medicare Blue Choice. And so that is not impacted by self-insurance whatsoever.
MVP Gold isn't either?
MVP Gold is not impacted by self-insurance, and Medicare Blue Choice is not impacted by self-insurance, one way or the other.
Is the county going to have any say as to what procedures, and say the doctor says I need an MRI? Is the county going to be able to come back and say, no, you can't get that now, we want you to do like a physical therapy first type of thing?
Okay, so the question is basically, let's say there's some sort of procedure, and there's a question as to whether it's covered by the insurance or not, who gets to say? And it'll be, one of the things we're hiring Excellus to do is to handle those decisions. So we'll have the same benefit plans, it'll be the same decision-making process where Excellus will use its internal procedures and its review boards. And then the one thing that does change is that when self-funded, we have to hire independent, actually we have to hire 3 independent boards that review conflicts. But basically Excellus, they go out, they pick them, and then we have to pay the claims review process. The shorter answer is no. No claim will ever be coming to me or anyone at the county to give our 2 cents on. That's not where we're going to save the money, is denying people claims.
What happens when the people under 65 hit 65?
What happens when people under 65 hit 65? And that goes to the other area that I think that Ed has been concerned about. And my comments on that will be limited in scope. I will answer your question. But it will be limited in scope because it's a subject of contract negotiations. It's a subject of grievance litigation, and it has been the subject of court litigation, which the county has prevailed on in the past. But what happens when you turn 65, when a retiree turns 65 or otherwise becomes eligible for Medicare, perhaps through a disability, they qualify for Social Security disability, therefore become Medicare eligible. The county requires that retiree retain Part A and B of Medicare. And because they have to retain Part A and B of Medicare, Medicare becomes primary health insurance, and the county health insurance becomes secondary. And so if you were in Classic Blue when you hit 65 or otherwise become Medicare eligible, then you have to enroll in Classic Blue Secure, which is a Medicare complementary plan. You have to pick up Medicare A and B, and you switch to the Medicare health insurance. Likewise, if you are in one of the managed care plans and you're under 65, whether that be extended, select, or value, when you turn 65, you got to enroll Medicare Part A and B, and you have to switch to the managed care product for Medicare, which is Medicare Blue Choice. The county's offered different versions of that product. The one time Excellus was selling senior care, they sell Blue Choice Senior, they sell Senior Care, it was Medicare Blue Choice Value, Medicare Blue Choice. It's had a number of names over the years. So that is, and when you become Medicare eligible, the plan is different. And it always has been. The county's practice, as near as we can tell, has been consistent since 1982. That when people turn 65, they have to go Medicare A and B, and they go on a Medicare plan. And I receive many phone calls from retirees who ask the question that this gentleman asked, and the questions that Ed Ransberger has been, putting forward of the county administration, the questions that the unions have been putting forward to the county administration, a question that we've been sued about is, you turn 65, and now I'm in a different health insurance plan. It's been the long-standing, consistent past practice since 1982 to make that switch, and so we aren't doing anything different than we've always done, from what we can tell. So I think the thing is that we've got more people turning 65 because of the baby boomers, and that is also when people in the 80s and 90s and stuff, most of the people when they turned 65 were in the indemnity Blue Million plan, and you pick up a complementary plan, and the transition is not as noticeable. The transition is more noticeable when you go from the managed care plan under 65 to the Medicare Advantage plan, and that is noticeable. And so I understand why people get upset about it. So I guess a big thing is we're not doing anything different than we've done since 1982. The circumstances around us are different because I think more people are hitting it, and we've got a section of the workforce that was primarily in managed care now versus in Blue Million. And so that's a change that takes its roots back to the 80s and 90s. That's not something that we're doing today. Then I guess the last thing I would say on that subject is the Medicare Advantage plans that we're offering today are better than any Medicare Advantage plans we've offered before. 10 years ago, when I took over as Human Resources Director, the Medicare plan that we were offering was senior care, Blue Choice Senior. Many folks who had that had zero prescription drug coverage. Zero coverage. Those folks who did have prescription drug coverage, it was limited to 50%. So if you went to the drugstore, you pay 50% whatever the drug is, up to $1,000 max. So when the drug spend was $1,000, you were capped. After that, zero. When the federal government passed Medicare Part D in 2005, 2006, around that time period, I may not have the exact data right now, but it's basically around that time period, is that Medicare basically told all the insurance companies, when you're having these Medicare Advantage plans, if you want a higher reimbursement rate, you have to offer drug coverage. So we enhanced our drug coverage. So our drug coverage is better now. The first year, and the drug coverage is kind of changed every year because the federal government sets what it is, not us. So it immediately went to, instead of the retiree paying 50% of the drug cost, it went down to only paying 40% of the drug cost, and the maximum was like $2,500 or close to $3,000. It was definitely more than double what the prior coverages.
It's about 5,000.
Is it about 5,000
Yeah.
now? All right. And I guess from where we're sitting, we've done right. We've enhanced the benefit. Now, if you were 64 yesterday and you're 65 today, I understand that you are not better off. But the plan we offer to people over 65 is better than it's ever been, as far as that goes. I don't, Ed?
We got one simple question.
Yeah.
Why are some people, when they reach 65, federal law says we gotta go into Medicare as our primary response program? And then what has happened for the last 20, 30 years that we've been able to research, and the committee from SOAR that's worked on this, jump in if I'm wrong. Basically you have the insurance till you die, what you walk out the door with, per prior contractual agreements.
I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, that's a signed contract from your predecessor. We'll go into that some other time. You know my stance on that.
Yep.
We got some people in here that are older than I. The gentleman said that he has done this, or the county has done this since 82 or 83. SOAR became aware of this 3 years ago next April. Do we have anybody older in here that's had this happen to them before 3 years ago? No. Okay. Point number one. The bottom line is, and what I've been chasing Miss Brooks about, and she has rudely turned us down, and you can convey that to her, We just want to ask, why are you, I have my hand up, Why is the county changing some people's retirement plans and none of others? Now, in a caveat, everybody who retires on Blue Million, what I've heard, you're golden. Go back on the bus, you're good. But the people with the other plans, extended to which you have listed here, they get the letters and saying that they're gonna have a plan change, which is fine. That's number one of all the contracts since 1960s, because Secretary Flannery has researched it in paper. You guys in the county and Gales can change the plan, but you gotta get something of equal or better value. I now have my over 65 card and my co-pays have doubled. That's not better, consistent or better. One question. Why is the county changing some people's plan? Correct me, guys and gals, if I'm wrong. Why is the county changing some people's plans now? And people who walked out the door years ago with a contract, the contract's gone out the window. Simple question, sir. That's the only question I have.
All right. I've read, correspondence and your statement today about something happening 3 years ago. We didn't do anything 3 years ago different than we do today, than we did 10 years ago, that we did prior to this administration. When people turn 65, you have to go on Medicare A and B, and if you're in a managed care plan, you no longer are eligible for that plan. Medicare is primary, you're not eligible to be in that plan.
By whose discretion, sir? By whose decision? The county?
Consistent, long-standing past practice.
By the county?
By
the county.
The question way answered it.
Yes, sir. Okay. Continue.
So the issue of why do some people get treated one way versus another, everybody in managed care is being treated exactly the same. There's no inconsistency of that transaction, and there's nothing that happened 3 or 4 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, or 10 years ago that changes what happens when you become 65 and Medicare eligible as a retiree.
The facts we have don't substantiate that, sir.
And I guess we're at a disagreement on that.
All right, we agree to disagree.
Whatever, Jim?
Brayton,
Are you sure you don't want to be union president again?
no thanks. I've had enough of you. Is there any change in networks at all, and also how does it impact portability? Does that dollar value of the plan, is that reduced now for reimbursement? Like if you leave?
Are you talking about this move to self-insurance?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jim's got a question back on self-insurance. In some of the contracts that were settled after 2005 and 6, that time frame, they talk about if you become retired and you're in the managed care plan, and you move outside the coverage area, which is, I don't know, it's like 13 counties around Monroe County. It might be up to 40 counties, I forget now. But basically, you move to Arizona, you move to Florida, you move, to the Carolinas to escape New York's lovely tax climate, and you're not a snowbird, you're a permanent out of here, then your doctor's not on the network, and you have to change health insurance plans. And so what the contract says is that we will pay up to the dollar value of, in this case, a Blue Point 2 value. And so with self-insurance, there's a premium equivalency that is set, and that is published each year the same way that premiums are published. So it would, it would be the commitment wouldn't change as far as that goes. Gentleman with the white hat.
The one question I have, there are a number of us that are retired from the military, like Ed and I, and we have TRICARE as our primaries. Yet, when we receive our notifications of care from whomever we go to, we noticed that, or I have noticed, that the county's insurance plan is not covering the cost. They are sending the bills to TRICARE. That, to me, is a violation of a contractual agreement we had that they would cover our cost. It's coming out of a different pot, but in essence, it's in the same barrel. Why is that happening? We should not have to, TRICARE should not be billed for that care, when in fact, we have been paying all of this time into the Blue Cross or Excellus system.
All right. So the questions about TRICARE and, if there's a doctor's bill or a procedure bill, should TRICARE be paying it, or should the county's insurance company be paying it? And unfortunately, I'm not equipped to answer that question. That's a question that has to do with coordination of benefits, and that's basically what we hire Excellus to do. That's not something that would be in the control of the county as to who pays what bill first, if people have, different insurances and such. That's beyond the county's control, and as far as I know, always has been.
But my understanding is that the system is designed so that Excellus is the primary, and they are the ones that are supposed to be paying, and not the secondary.
Right.
The secondary will take up whatever slack that's left out there.
And if that's the way that, I guess the federal government, is that where TRICARE comes from, is extension of veterans benefits?
Yes.
If that's the way that the statute is set up, then that's what should be happening, but that wouldn't be anything that the county would be having any input on whatsoever as to who's the first payer on the bill. So I apologize, I don't have an answer on that one. Hi, Flo.
Hi, Brayton. I have two questions. First of all, those people that are under 65, when they turn 65, does the county then contact them to tell them that they have to sign up for Medicare? Because I'm understanding that that's not happening. And what is ending up happening is people then have not signed up, and about 6 months later are getting tremendous bills from their insurance companies because nobody's covering them at that particular point.
All right, so the
That's
question's
number
about
one. I have another
first
one.
question is about notification when somebody turns 65. When someone becomes Medicare eligible by age, I mean, we know when that's going to happen. We've got your date of birth, we can subtract from 65. The benefits department mails out, I believe 3 months in advance, a letter informing folks that they should get Medicare A and B, and that they should provide proof of it to us and enroll in the Medicare form. Some retirees, either we don't have a good address, or the postman lost it, or somebody in the household lost it, or, nobody that works at the county is 100% perfect. So mistakes happen on our end too. But sometimes retirees get it and they say, phooey on this, I'm not responding to anything you're telling me to do to change plans. And that's fine, and maybe there'll be litigation someday says, phooey on the county's right. But in the meantime, Excellus isn't going to pay the claims correctly, and Medicare is going to penalize you for delaying enrollment in it. And so the retiree will end up with a late enrollment penalty in some cases. So ignoring the letter can sometimes have a detrimental impact on the retiree. The other reason people become Medicare eligible is because of disability, and sometimes we don't find out about that because there's no exchange of all the people who are disabled and all the people who are on our insurance. It comes up usually, Excellus finds some sort of claim that isn't being done right. So sometimes that's the more common scenario where somebody has a gap between when Excellus and the federal government says they should have signed up with Medicare and when they do, and then there's claims problems. Your second question, Phil?
Second question. Right now, you can take your card, your insurance card, and you can go any place and put it down, and they see Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, they see this, they see that. When they see self-insured on the back of that card, what is that going to do if you are not in the extreme vicinity? For example, you've gone to Florida for a vacation, or you're in California and something happens, and you put that card down, now what happens? Do they still accept that insurance?
Great question, great
Oh,
question.
thank you.
So the card, on the front of the card, it's still going to say Excellus, it's still going to have the Blue Cross Blue Shield symbol. And that's one of the things that we are buying from Excellus. When we pay them to administer our claims, we're buying that Blue Cross Blue Shield symbol and the fact that the Blue Cross Blue Shield network has service agreements all across the country. And I don't know if it's 90 or 99% of hospitals, doctors, pharmacies all cover Excel. So the network is completely identical, and that card will look as good to anybody in America when they look at the front. Most of America is self-insured. Rochester, because of our unique history with community rating, it's been a long time in coming for self-insured, but throughout most of the country, any employer with 50 people or more is most likely self-insured. So the nation, so we're really the people who are backward when we buy insurance here in Rochester from the nation's point of view. So the card will be greeted with the same equal vigor that it is today.
Okay. The other question, one quick one that I just got from your answer, is if in fact someone does go on disability, is the county still holding, and I don't know this for sure, this is a question, they're holding those information sessions once a year for retirees for, it used to be to change your insurance, but now, are they still holding those kinds of seminars that people are informed about? There used to be 2 or 3 sessions, usually within 2 days, and people were invited to them to talk about the insurance changes or things like that.
We're not holding those sessions.
Because that
I
would
don't know
be
when
a
we stopped
place
holding
that
them.
people who are
I don't think we were holding them when I came upstairs in the resources.
I know that, I didn't think you've had them in a while, but it might be something you want to reinstate because people have lots of questions and that would be the place for them to answer.
All right. How was this gentleman here?
Spouses,
Yeah.
are they gonna, any of this gonna change for the spouses?
As far as self-funding, no, it doesn't change anything for the spouses, surviving spouses, current spouses, adding spouses, losing spouses. Those rules all proceed the way they have. Gentlemen?
I was one of the people that Ed was talking about, brought up the question to. And in talking among ourselves, several of us like had HMOs that had this happen to us, like Bob Keogh, myself. I retired around 2000, and I was cruising along with the Blue Point 2 Extended. And I had a prescription that I get every so often. It was like $15. The minute I turned 65 and went on Medicare, I went for that same prescription. They said $55. And I went, wait a minute, it's supposed to be the same. And I did call the county, and the county said they matched your figure. They said, oh, now that you've retired and this and that, you pay 40% of what it is. And I said, well, I thought we were supposed to keep the same as we had before we went on Medicare, with the county making up the difference. And they told me that's not the way we interpret it. Can you tell me why it jumped the minute I turned 65 from $15 to like 55, 40% of the...
And I think that's the scenario that many people find themselves in. The one day you're 64, the next day you're 65.
Right.
Okay? And that's because the Medicare Advantage plans, the coverage is not identical to the coverage when you were below 65. And one of the areas where the difference is plain is in the prescription drug coverage.
I went from Blue Point 2 Extended, now it's Medicare Blue Choice.
Yes. Yep.
And
that
I'm
is-
in an HMO, I'm with the Folsom Center. I think several other people that had this happen to were in HMOs too. They wondered if HMOs were being discriminated against.
And it's if you were a managed care plan, when you're Medicare eligible, you are no longer qualified to be a member of that HMO, that managed care system. You have to go on Medicare, and the Medicare Advantage plan that we buy is not you know, not as good as what you had when you were
That is
64.
comparable to what we did, but like Ed said, our contract said we were supposed to continue our same coverage where the county makes up what Medicare does not.
And I hear what you're saying, I hear what Ed's saying.
Okay.
That has never been the way the contract has been administered or interpreted by the county, and that goes all the way back into the 80s. So I understand your point of view. I've read the contract. I follow your logic, but that is not in fact the way the contract has ever been administered. That is not the way that any retiree has ever been
I mean,
treated.
it doesn't come in, boy, it would sure hurt somebody that has to get $1,000 prescription, you know, on a regular basis.
It definitely is a real impact.
Yeah.
You know, no one can say that it's not. All right, this gentleman is last.
Why do some of the people here that are 65 not pay any co-pays or any, I have to pay $20 for doctor visit, $20 for specialists, $50, and they don't pay anything?
I'm going to guess the answer, because that, the question about some people paying a copay and some people paying nothing, I don't think that's correct.
My
But I
doctor
would
visit
guess,
copay went up also.
yes, the copay's changed. I would guess that somebody is on, the one person is on $1 million and they've hit their out-of-pocket maximum, and therefore there's not further cost to them. I would suspect that they're in different plans. Yeah.
I don't pay any, I go to the doctor, I don't pay any copay.
There are, if you're going for, are you going for like routine preventive? Or is this like,
Every 3 months.
I don't know, don't tell me, so I don't jack up your copay.
Better not drive through
I carry my own handcuffs, so I can cuff myself right off since I get pulled over. Gentleman standing in the back.
Now that the county is going to become self-insured, are they going to try to correct these problems that some of these people have and bring everybody up to the same coverage? In other words, these people have lost some of their coverage. Are they going to bring them back up to where the rest of us get all our coverage, or are they going to leave these people the way they are?
I guess I disagree with the premise of the question. The benefit that is being administered is what has always been administered. So the county isn't doing any less than it has ever done. And the cost to do something different would be very large, and you know, it would have to come out, you know, I don't know, in layoffs or restrictions on actives or something. I mean, there's only so much money to go around, and so the county is administering the contract the same way that it has always been administered. So for us to go and spend additional money that we don't have doesn't seem feasible.
But you're going to save a couple $1 million.
And the couple $1 million has been used already to balance the county budget and to prevent rate increases. There's no windfall that, you know, that drops into somebody's pocket. The lady
For the people that are either on social security disability or 65 that are on the medical plans,
All right, Eddie's.
can we purchase a supplemental insurance for our prescription coverage and still have our existing coverage through the county?
Are you talking like an Epic or something like that?
No,
That was
because I'm
my
not
question
65.
when I was told my insurance changed. By the way, a real quick comment. The county did notify me when I was late in getting my forms in when I turned 65, so I was thankful for that. I specifically asked that question, but not necessarily with regards to prescriptions. I said, well, if I'm going to have to pay more and I don't have as good coverage, I'll just get some supplemental insurance, to which the woman I was talking to, very abruptly replied, no you won't, we will cancel your insurance as soon as you attempt to get supplemental insurance. Which I guess is what really bothers me, is like, why would the county do that? I'm not asking them for anything.
So the two questions are related, and there's a couple of different answers. to the nuances of, but the big answer is this, is that the contracts going back into the 70s, I believe, or I think into the 70s, say that you cannot carry dual insurance because it's not appropriate for someone to be covered by, to have insurance with the county and double insurance through a spouse or something to that effect. So our thing is if we shouldn't be paying for your insurance if you can get it someplace else. All right, so if you have insurance someplace else, then that's where you're at. If you have insurance through us, that's where you're at. Now, when it comes to, some people have, they'll be part of a drug discount card. That's not insurance. So if there's like a drug discount card or network that you're in, that's fine. We don't consider VA benefits to be separate insurance. We consider that to be a benefit, not an insurance policy. So that doesn't cancel it out. If you are over 65 or Medicare eligible, I believe the federal government does not allow you to have 2 drug benefits because then they are subsidizing 2 different insurers for your drug benefit. And part of receiving the Medicare Part D subsidized rate, which is what the Medicare Advantage plans are, then you are only allowed to have 1 drug coverage. So that's a little bit of a nuance that might be why it might be more of an answer to you there. Mm-hmm. But that's an issue that I guess I wouldn't want anyone to take a final answer on that one with me just saying it off the cuff here at the table or at the stage. Yeah, Paul.
This is probably not a question that you could specifically answer, but I was less concerned about my co-pays doubling and some minor costs. I mean, although nobody likes that. I'm more concerned with, and I don't know, and if anybody here in this room knows, feel free to answer, what are the big changes that I am not yet aware of in my insurance now that I'm under Medicare? What happens if I have a heart attack or some other major medical issue? What do I need to worry about? I guess, and who do I ask about that difference in what I had before I turned 65 and what I have now?
I think you can call our benefits department and ask them that question as to what the difference is between the 2 coverages, or you can call Excellus to ask them the differences between the coverage, or maybe what Excellus would definitely answer is, now that you're on the Medicare Advantage plan, what happens if I have a major hospitalization, have a major this, what is the limit of how much my out-of-pocket is? The difference that is obvious to people that we receive the most calls and complaints about, that people are, that is an everyday expense, is the difference in drug coverage. That is the #1 concern that we receive about it.
Ladies, okay, just 1 or 2 more questions, please.
During our careers, we gave up a lot of things in order to vote contractually for the benefits, our medical benefits. Are the people in service now going to retire with any medical benefits, or are they going out the window for those people?
I just like to Steve Michaels. So the folks right now who retire, if they're retiring now under the current contract, then they have access to Blue Point 2 extended value up until they're 65 and Medicare eligible, and then they'll go into a Medicare Advantage plan the same way we've discussed here today. And that benefit is 0 premium. Nobody in this room paid, well, unless you're a surviving spouse, or there might be 1 or 2 one-off situations, but essentially, the county pays 100% of the premium for the plans you're in, and for folks who retire under the current contract, the county will continue to pay 100% of the premium of the plan they're in. For those who have been hired since essentially 2006, when they reach retirement, so they're 15 years or so from now, or maybe a little longer depending on what kind of deputy you are, they will receive the health insurance plan that happens to be in effect at that time, whatever's negotiated between now and then. And as it stands now, they will pay what active employees pay. So if active employees are paying, $100 a pay period. He says no to that. then those retirees would pay $100 a pay period, or $200 a month. So basically, everybody who retired, everyone who's been hired before 2006 has a way to get 100% paid for health insurance, which, right now, I'm sure there's many people in this room that we pay more for your health insurance than your salary was when you were in active service, and that's because health insurance, goes up at 8 to 15% a year, and wages and COLAs and nothing like that keeps track of that. So I hope that answers your question.
One last question. Go ahead, sir.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I wouldn't say sir.
I bought and brought with me a book that I gave to Ed. It's from the people that publish these other books, and it's called Medicaid for Dummies. The same people that wrote the books about the internet and whatnot. It answers all the questions that, and this is not directed at you, that you're maybe not in a position to answer now or otherwise. And it's a very helpful book. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. It's also on the AARP website. I had questions about, my wife is a few years older than me, although luckily better looking than me. So my concern was, if she gets to that age, how does that affect her? Does she drop off mine, go to bed? And this book has some very easy, simple answers in it. Ed's got the book up there, if anybody wants to look at it, borrow it, or whatever.
And if you don't mind, I'll answer that scenario. So you're a husband and wife, and one of you reaches Medicare eligibility before the other. When the older spouse reaches Medicare eligibility, whether they are the spouse or the retiree, either one, age-based, they go on the Medicare plan that goes with them. So let's say you're in an HMO, you go to Medicare Blue Choice, the Advantage plan. The other one who is not 65 remains in their current plan. So we don't cancel that person out, and and if you still have a dependent, the dependent stays in there.
This book also addresses the different parts of Medicare in terms of what's the better one based on your personal situation.
A, B, C, D.
Right.
Yeah, Medicare is very, very complicated.
Sir, you mentioned when we went self-insured,
Yep.
The county avoids paying that hit tax.
Yep.
Do you know, since we're going to be self-insured, do we also get exempt from paying that tax, or are we going to have to pay for our special insurance?
All right, so I think what President Michaels is talking about is the Cadillac tax. Okay, so the Cadillac tax does not go into effect until 2018. So we have not done an analysis of the impact on the county yet. I can tell you that it is my belief that every plan that the county offers, other than Medicare Advantage, will be considered a Cadillac plan. So that is something that is of concern to us. I know that, so that's a bridge we've yet to cross. That's going to be an impact.
And one last question over here, please.
For people who had the managed care plan, turned 65, went on Medicare Parts A and B.
Yep.
The county picks up the Medicare Advantage, Medicare Blue Choice plan.
Yes, we pay 100% of that premium.
Correct. Am I correct in saying that there are other Medicare Advantage plans available through Excelis that the county could choose to offer at a slightly higher premium, but the county chooses this particular plan?
Yes, there are more plans available.
Okay,
at
you
higher
answered my
premiums.
question. So, the reduced benefits that many people in this room are experiencing once they went on Medicare and were under a managed care plan is because the county is choosing the Medicare Advantage plan that offers those reduced benefits.
No.
But
No, because I'll refer back to one of my prior comments, which is that the Medicare Advantage plan we're offering today is better, has better coverage, particularly in the drug area, than the Medicare plans that we ever offered.
yeah, I'm not talking about that. It's not better, by your own admission, of course, it's not better.
Than you were the day before.
Correct, when you were
65.
64.
That's right.
However, Excelis does have an option that the county could choose to offer us that would keep our benefits more closely aligned to what they were when we were 64.
Excelis will always take more of our money, yes.
Thank you, sir. You answered my question.
All righty, I've kept this gentleman 7 minutes longer. In conclusion, my ADD's kicking in, I'm sorry. In conclusion, self-insured, no change.
Agreed.
Involuntary changes, that's what we've always done.
Yeah, agreed.
Major illnesses, talk to Excelsior County.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And TRICARE, we'll talk a little bit more about military.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your patience, and I'm sorry that many of my answers were not to your liking, but I appreciate the opportunity.
I bet you've got good company.
Could I say would the county be interested, if SOAR were to pay for it, to have a couple people from your human resources come to a site where the folks that have tons of questions, we bring everybody together and get it all done in 2 hours? Would that be something we can discuss for the future?
You mean like individual benefit consultations?
Yeah, we said they can sit in the corner and we open it up to our membership to pay for that.
Like a steel cage match?
No. Okay, who's supposed to watch Bill today? I'm serious. We have a lot of people that have trouble getting around some of the West Main Street. Maybe somehow, some way, shape, or manner, especially for the others that are in
That doesn't seem unreasonable. You know, benefits education is one of the things we do. I would say this, though, that just in defense of my benefits staff, we've got 4,600 employees and 2,500 retirees, 11,000 covered lives, and I've got 1.5 people assigned to that. So that's pretty thin.
That's why I figure if we bring them to one site for a
We'd be
couple
happy to
hours.
get you more staff.
Well, they're M&C, so they wouldn't be.
Sir? Sidecars.
Yeah.
You and I will talk and maybe
Yes.
get them together?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Glad.